So there are problems. There are problems, but what I do know is that Trump is instinctively pro-British, the most pro-British president we've had for decades.
Farage just dropped a bombshell that's shaking the foundations of British politics. Keir Starmer's government is facing accusations of compromising national security and jeopardising crucial US relations. But what's the real story behind this unfolding crisis? As we peel back the layers, you'll discover how a decision about a tiny island chain could have massive consequences for the UK's global standing and diplomatic credibility.
And campaign against his opponent, which in diplomatic terms was just the most stupid thing to do, and a Labour government that has given away the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, which poses a threat to Diego Garcia.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch without subscribing. It costs nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Keir Starmer's recent decision on the Chagos Islands has sent shockwaves through British politics, leaving many questioning his judgment and diplomatic strategy.
Is an embarrassing capitulation which plays into the hands of China, a despotic and dangerous regime which has close trade ties with Mauritius.
The Chagos Islands, a remote archipelago in the Indian Ocean, might seem insignificant at first glance, but make no mistake, they are a crucial piece in the global geopolitical puzzle. At the heart of this controversy lies Diego Garcia, the largest island in the Chagos archipelago, home to a strategic US military base pivotal for operations across the Middle East and Asia. This base isn't just a dot on the map, it's a cornerstone of US-UK military cooperation and a symbol of Britain's global influence. So why has Keir Starmer's government quietly signed off on transferring sovereignty of these islands to Mauritius? It's a move that has left many scratching their heads and others fuming with anger. This decision doesn't just redraw lines on a map. It potentially undermines decades of strategic planning and military cooperation. By handing over control of the Chagos Islands, Starmer's government risks weakening the UK's presence in a critical region, losing not just a military outpost, but influence, intelligence gathering capabilities, and a strategic advantage in an increasingly complex world. Experts are sounding the alarm. Dr. Elizabeth Colton, a former US diplomat, warns this decision could significantly alter the balance of power in the Indian Ocean, with broad implications for global security. Perhaps most pressing is the strain it could put on UK-US relations, since the United States has long relied on the Diego Garcia base for its operations. The potential for diplomatic fallout is significant, affecting everything from intelligence sharing to trade negotiations. What's particularly baffling is how this contradicts previous Labour promises. Starmer had pledged to strengthen the UK's global partnerships, yet this move seems to do the opposite, raising serious questions about the government's commitment to national security and understanding of complex international dynamics. As the fallout from the Chagos decision unfolds, an even more explosive situation is brewing across the Atlantic. Labour's past rhetoric is coming back to haunt them, and it could cost Britain dearly. The ticking time bomb revolves around David Lammy's inflammatory comments about Donald Trump, whom the Shadow Foreign Secretary labelled a neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath. While the statement made headlines and rallied supporters, in the world of international diplomacy, such remarks can have far-reaching consequences. As Trump gains momentum in the Republican primaries, Labour finds itself in an increasingly precarious position. The possibility of Trump returning to the White House has transformed from a distant nightmare into a potential reality. And with it comes the sobering realisation that David Lammy's words might come back to bite Labour, and by extension, the entire UK, in a very painful way. The diplomatic challenges facing the government are staggering. How does a government navigate relations with a world leader its top officials have publicly denounced in the harshest terms? It's not just about saving face or making awkward small talk at summits. The real concern lies in crucial areas like trade negotiations, intelligence sharing, and security cooperation. Political analysts warn that personal attacks by foreign politicians can significantly strain diplomatic relations. There's a real risk that Trump, known for his long memory and tendency to hold grudges, might view the entire Labour government through the lens of Lammy's insults, leading to a frosty, if not outright hostile, US-UK relationship, at a time when global cooperation is more critical than ever. The irony is palpable. Labour's anti-Trump stance, once a rallying cry for its base, now threatens to undermine the very international relationships the party claims to value. Future trade deals, vital for the UK's post-Brexit economy, could be jeopardised, and the special relationship between the US and UK, a cornerstone of both nations' foreign policies, might be severely tested. As this situation unfolds, one has to question Labour's preparedness for dealing with a Republican-led US administration. Have they painted themselves into a diplomatic corner with their fiery rhetoric? Can they navigate the complex dance of international relations when faced with a leader they've so openly criticised? The answers could shape the future of UK-US relations for years to come. And while Labour's diplomatic missteps with the US grab headlines, a far more insidious threat lurks beneath the surface of the Chagos Islands deal, one that could have even deeper consequences for Britain's strategic position in the Indian Ocean. Keir Starmer may have overlooked a development that could reshape the balance of power in the Indian Ocean. Enter Nigel Farage, dropping a bombshell that sent shockwaves through Westminster. The hidden danger of the Chagos Islands deal lies in China's growing influence in Mauritius. It turns out that Mauritius, the country set to gain sovereignty over the Chagos archipelago, has been cozying up to Beijing for years. This isn't just about trade agreements or diplomatic niceties. We're talking about a relationship that could have serious implications for global security. By transferring sovereignty to Mauritius, Starmer's government may have inadvertently opened the door for increased Chinese military presence in the Indian Ocean. It's not a direct handover to China, of course, but it's like giving your house keys to a friend whose best mate you don't trust. Mauritius's close ties with China raise alarming questions about who might really benefit from this deal in the long run. The potential for Chinese naval operations in the region is a nightmare scenario for Western strategists. We're not just talking about a few ships passing through. This could be the beginning of a major shift in the balance of power. China has been expanding its military capabilities and seeking footholds in strategic locations. And the Chagos Islands, with their prime position, could be the perfect staging ground for Beijing's ambitions. US officials and think tanks are already sounding the alarm, warning that this deal could seriously undermine Western interests in the region. It's not just about losing a military base. It's about potentially handing over a strategic advantage to a rival superpower. As this situation unfolds, one has to question Starmer's grasp of these complex geopolitical issues. Did he and his team fully consider the long-term implications of this decision? Or were they so focused on short-term political gains that they missed the bigger picture? The answers could have far-reaching consequences for Britain's place on the global stage. Just as Starmer thought he'd weathered the worst of the Chagos Islands controversy, Nigel Farage drops another bombshell. This time it's not just about a distant archipelago, but about the very foundations of British national security. What critical oversight has Labour made that could unravel decades of careful diplomacy? Keir Starmer now finds himself in a perfect storm of diplomatic challenges, facing pressures from all sides. At home, his government is about as popular as a fart in an elevator, with mounting criticism over his handling of foreign affairs. Internationally, the situation is even more precarious, with the spectre of a Trump presidency looming large. The potential fallout if Trump wins is nothing short of catastrophic for Labour. Known for his long memory and tendency to hold grudges, Trump is unlikely to forgive or forget the harsh words thrown his way by David Lammy. The likelihood of a renegotiation of the Chagos Islands deal under Republican pressure is high, potentially forcing Starmer into an embarrassing U-turn. Diplomatic experts suggest Labour will need a careful strategy to navigate this crisis. It's not just about deleting a few tweets or mumbling a half-hearted apology. Starmer and his team will need to engage in serious diplomatic gymnastics to salvage the situation, finding a way to mend fences with the US while maintaining their stance on the Chagos Islands, a task that seems nearly impossible under the circumstances. As the crisis unfolds, anticipation builds toward a damning revelation. Nigel Farage, never one to pull punches, lays bare what he calls Starmer's dark secrets in a scathing critique. Farage accuses Starmer and Lammy of playing international roulette with decades of diplomatic goodwill, arguing that the stakes are nothing less than Britain's national security. The crux of Farage's argument is that Starmer's government has inadvertently compromised national security through its mishandling of the Chagos Islands situation and its inflammatory rhetoric toward potential allies. This isn't just about political point scoring, it's about the very safety and standing of the United Kingdom on the global stage. As this diplomatic crisis unfolds, one has to question Starmer's ability. Keir Starmer now finds himself in a perfect storm of diplomatic challenges, facing pressure from all sides. At home, his government is about as popular as a fart in an elevator, with mounting criticism over his handling of foreign affairs. Internationally, the situation is even more precarious, with the spectre of a Trump presidency looming large. The potential fallout if Trump wins is nothing short of catastrophic for Labour, known for his long memory and grudges. Trump is unlikely to forgive or forget the harsh words thrown his way by David Lammy. The likelihood of a renegotiation of the Chagos Islands deal under Republican pressure is high, potentially forcing Starmer into an embarrassing U-turn. Diplomatic experts warn that Labour will need a careful, precise strategy. It's not just about deleting a few tweets or mumbling a half-hearted apology. Starmer and his team must engage in serious diplomatic gymnastics, finding a way to mend fences with the US while maintaining their stance on the Chagos Islands, a task that seems nearly impossible under the circumstances. As the crisis unfolds, anticipation builds toward a damning revelation. Nigel Farage, never one to pull punches, lays bare what he calls Starmer's dark secrets in a scathing critique. Farage accuses Starmer and Lammy of playing international roulette with decades of diplomatic goodwill, arguing that the stakes are nothing less than Britain's national security. The crux of his argument is that Starmer's government has inadvertently compromised national security through its mishandling of the Chagos Islands situation and its inflammatory rhetoric toward potential allies. This isn't mere political point scoring, it's about the very safety and global standing of the United Kingdom. As the diplomatic crisis deepens, one must question Starmer's ability to lead through such turbulent times. Can he navigate these treacherous waters? Or will his missteps push Britain further into international isolation? The answers could shape the future of UK foreign policy for years to come.